All right, guys, coaching video. Been trying to do these every week. But today I just want to start with something really simple. I just want to talk about bracing, why it's important, and why we teach it first to people in the first 60 days, and also how you guys can use it as a tool to help correct faults and have conversations that are a little bit deeper than, oh, it's just to get braced. It's on purpose. So number one, it's a 4-step process. It happens every time that we move, or it's supposed to, and it starts with squeeze the butt, rib cage down, abs tight, externally rotate the shoulders. So now, we talk about the second rule of movement being loading the biggest thing first, and like the sequence of events in the bracing is important because what we're doing is we start from the bottom so that we can build a strong base for our spine to be set on. And so like it starts with squeezing the butt first because that sets the pelvis to neutral. So like when I'm just standing here, so like I'm actively in a not so great position, but as soon as I squeeze my butt, what ends up happening is my pelvis turns underneath, so now my spine can set on top of it properly. So once that happens, now I've already set up my spine to be in neutral, which is important for all of my movements. Right? When we pull the rib cage down, the idea is that our spine is not arched. So even if I squeeze my butt, I can arch my spine. Okay? And it's also not rounded. So what we're really doing is getting our abs to a neutral length. So like if I put my thumbs all the way down into my spine, if I arch, it's here. If I round, it's here. We're just getting them to neutral. Then we get tension on the abs to lock in that position. Externally rotate the shoulders, set the shoulders in a strong position. So, the sequence of events, each piece is important, and the order is important because if we don't set our spine, for example, like pelvis is set by butt squeeze. If we don't set our spine to neutral, there's no amount of me squeezing my abs that's going to hold my spine in the right spot, because it's super hard to do that if my spine's not in the right position. So I may be able to brace in flexion or brace in extension, but it won't be braced neutral. So if you're, say, for example, doing a deadlift, it's very hard to find that position after you've started moving because it gets harder. So like if you can't do it with no weight, it's going to be very hard to do with weight. So then when we get tension on, that's just to maintain that position. The externally rotating of the shoulders, that's to set our shoulders in a strong position. So now why is this important to do before we start moving? So obviously it sets our spine up to be strong so that we can produce the most amount of force, which is building fitness. But what ends up happening if we get braced and then we head down and we round, say on a deadlift, and then I re-brace, what ends up happening is I've loaded something different than my hips, right? And so like if you think about this PVC pipe, so this PVC pipe's a little crooked, but if we think about this PVC pipe as our spine, what we're doing is we're locking it in at neutral, and then as the torso declines in the deadlift, it's staying at neutral and it's already rock solid. So like what ends up happening, and the reason why I'm using deadlift is a simple example, but it's also the one where people mess up the most, and that's usually where any back injuries related to exercise come from, is from deadlift. So once we get braced, right, now we tilt this locked in position. You can almost imagine like the bracing sequence is taking this PVC and turning it into a steel pipe so it's not going to bend. And as long as somebody can keep it neutral, they're going to be able to continue to move load for as many reps or whatever load they want. It's when that bracing sequence breaks and the spine rounds where it gets dangerous, or where we need to set the weight down. So as a coach, you're looking for that, because that change is signifying, hey, this is probably too much load or too many reps or too fast or something like that, right? So now here's the scenario that usually happens is somebody sets up for their deadlift, they get braced, they head down, and it's middle of WOD, and they're like, I'm tired. Let me grab onto the bar, and then I'm going to sink in tight. So like what you guys can think of this as is like, all right, I'm neutral. Now I'm going to round my back, and now I'm going to try and brace into this thing. And now you can see how unstable that is, right? And like for an athlete that's trying to move heavy weight or trying to move safely, as you can see, that instability that's happening at the spine when we get braced afterwards. And so if we're not addressing it as coaches, we're setting our athletes up to be in a position where they're not that strong. And so as you're watching somebody in the middle of a workout, they get down there, they're around it, and then they brace in after they're already on the bar. their spine is in a less stable position, and like we can make easy corrections. It's going to make a big difference in terms of how much load they can move, how many times they can move it, and also in their longevity in training in general. So like this is a correction that's really simple, but if you have sort of an explanation like this to kind of go along with it, it creates a really teachable moment, even on some of those simple movements like air squats or deadlifts, where, you know, people can easily just go, oh, it's just picking it up off the floor. So again, you know, how we fix that, you stop your athlete right then, like, oh, they're trying to brace in, stop, reset. They reset back to the top, get braced, stay braced, and now lift. Cool. So hopefully that helps you guys out, but we should be applying that to all of our movements, not just the deadlift, but especially on the deadlift. So guys, have any questions? Let me know.